Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Geelong Zone. We have another video, another comparison. The title of this video is "Who Says No? Would you trade Cameron Ling for Kane Corns?" It's a bit misleading. I should have worded this a little bit better. I probably should have said, "Who is the better player?" Then like, "Would you trade him?" So I should have done that a little bit better. My bad. Before I start on the comparison between the two, I was on YouTube earlier today and just scrolling along. I subscribe quite a lot to other football contenters, and I found it somewhat weird or strange, maybe out of fear, maybe out of backlash, that I haven't seen yet one curator, one contenter mention Australia Day. And I was just scrolling along, and then I saw something from the Jumper Punch, from Mars, who made a video earlier. Apologies to Mars, I actually didn't know your name. I know I've been on your show a couple of times with Rocco and Scott, but I actually forgot your name. So shout out to Bo Check for saying your name. And you made some very interesting points. Now, I hope I'm going to play some of this. At no way this is heat on Mars. I actually agree with all what he said. And in my opinion, he was not disrespectful at any point. So I hope there's not too much heat towards him. And I admire his bravery of calling this out. So I'm going to play some audio video. I hope this audio can come through. If not, I will say what he said. I'll try to quote it so I don't put words in his mouth. But anyway, here we go. Turn up the volume here. And I just want to respond to a few things that he said.
Now, Carlton, I love this club. I do love this club, even in times of turmoil or, mate, when we're going through it, you got hurt.
Right, pause it there.
All off season, but this right here, this doesn't create cohesion. I don't think. I think this creates divisiveness again.
All right, pause it there. He is mentioning the Australia Day Carlton post. And as you heard, I hope you've heard it, he said it doesn't create conversion, it creates divide. He's absolutely spot on. He's absolutely spot on. He also mentioned that there's India that celebrate Republic Day. Americans, they celebrate Independence Day. And no, that's not because of Will Smith and Jeff Goldberg in the movie Independence Day. They actually do celebrate a day like that. Mexico celebrate the Day of the Dead, where they celebrate all the people that have died, passed away. There's parties in the street and that. But why is Australia the only day we do not celebrate when it's our day? It's our Federation Day. And to Mars's point, I'm not here to disrespect Aboriginal players. There is some great, they are a crucial part of our AFL history. Not a good part, not an important, a crucial part. Eddie Betts, Lance Franklin, Adam Goods, whether you like him or not. Geelong players like Polly Farmer. All these great Indigenous players, Andrew McLeod, Michael O'Loughlin, an iconic photo with Michael O'Loughlin with that West Coast fan. I can go on and mentioning so many Indigenous players and what they've done. The Cracker family. So many great players are a crucial part of our system in Australian rules football, important part of our culture. But at the same time, is it that hard to say 3 words? Happy Australia Day. And I think that's what Mars's point was. He was frustrated with it. He wasn't angry. He was just, as it said, he wasn't angry. He was disappointed. Well, Mars, at least your club made a statement. You know what Geelong said, Mars, and anyone that's watching? Nada. Not a thing. And that shits me off as well. Fence sitting shits me off. It's almost like Geelong said, you know what, there's no such thing as 26. We've gone straight to January 27th. That shits me off. Now, I'm not for left or right wing, and I don't want to turn this into a political debate, and I don't want to use Mars as a tool to do this. And people are going to say, oh, but you have what is it? In your Twitter profile, Lucas, you're a conservative. You know, it's in your a right wing conservative, Lucas, in your Twitter profile. So you know you don't like left wing or blah blah blah. It's not true. I see points from left wing. I see points from right wing. What I don't like is right wing neo Nazis like Thomas Sill. And I don't like left wing nut jobs like Abby Chatfield, Adam Hyde. Maybe if you didn't call soldiers that went to that march Adam Hyde pieces of shit, maybe your song would have been number one. Just a thought. But we're not trying to divide a culture. Just said they're a crucial part of our culture. But the AFL world is mainly left wing. It mainly is. Let's look at their boss. He has the audacity to go to India, Republic Day. Oh, can celebrate over there. They can celebrate their day, but doesn't want to celebrate Australia's day. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And from last time I checked, AFL, 78, they have a poll every year. Every year. Do you want the date changed? And it seems to me every year it is going higher and higher and higher and higher. This year was 78%. That's majority. Actually, that's not even majority. That is unanimous in any poll. 78%, you're kidding me. So why the fuck are we so concerned about the other 22%? Are we that afraid to upset the Indigenous culture that we don't want to say Happy Australia Day? And if that's the case, you're weak pricks. Okay, let's say you say Happy Australia Day and an current Indigenous player gets offended. Well, mate, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Now, as Mars said this on his little video, he said you can make two posts. You can make an Indigenous post about the mourning of Aboriginal people that died when Captain Cook came to this country in slavery. You can make those kind of posts, and then you can make an Australia Day post for the other people. You can do that. Geelong didn't want to do any of those. They just wanted to blow it under the carpet, and that's weak. I'm not a big YouTube channel. I'm a small YouTube content channel. I don't care if I get one view or I get a million views. It doesn't really bother me. Yes, I'm trying to get more guests as I can, and that's going to be harder when I make videos like this, because especially if they come from the AFL world. You want to come on my channel, have a look at some view videos. They look at this video and they think he's a fucking right-wing nut job. That's the way it is. Why do we care about the 22% and the other minority? Why do we care? Why can't they accept that? Makes no sense. Why are we caring about a small group of people? Greatness from small beginnings. From small beginnings says factual opinion. And you don't have to like this video. You don't have to like what I'm saying. But I'm giving you facts. There was a poll and 78% of Australians do not want the date to be changed. So why does the AFL give a shit about the other 22%? And they want to offend other people. They don't want to offend their Indigenous players. And like Mars said, Carlton have a huge history of Aboriginal players. One of the best Aboriginal small forwards in the history of the game, Eddie Betts. Huge in what he did for that Carlton Football Club. No dispute. But I'm sorry, mate. No, you have to accept that. Why do we have to accept that? And that makes it okay. Why can't you accept that as well? Why can't the door swing both ways? Why can't you accept it? Why can't we accept it? No, we have to accept it, but you can't. That's what shits me off about left and right. No one wants to hear both sides. They only want to hear one side. And when I mean I'm a conservative, I'm not a Charlie Kirk preacher conservative. I just see what I see. I have my own beliefs. No, and I don't blame Mars for his video. I think it's deserved because no one else is doing it. I love the jumper punch. I think they're a great show. I don't watch everything they do because I'm not a Carlton person. But I can tell you, I can watch 3 preview shows, and I know more about Carlton in those last 3 shows than I did in the last 20 years. That's what they do. That's what they give off. Same with the Hoops crew. You know, if you're not a fan of Geelong, but you listen to their previews, you watch their reviews, you watch me be an absolute dickhead of myself on there, you know, you learn so much more about this club than you did last 20 years. And I applaud Mars for coming out, calling it, saying, well, no one else is coming out and doing that. Applaud you for that, Mars. If you're watching Mars, I really applaud you for that. I've never had a discussion with you. I've never had a talk with you. But if you're watching, I really do appreciate what you just did. It takes a lot of bravery to do that. And you said that. You know, it's not that hard to recognise something, you know, that's supposed to be our day. It's supposed to unite all Australia. And at the same time, we give a shit about what 22% of the population think. Doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, it's not about disrespecting Indigenous players. They are crucial to our history. But at the same time, you just have to move on. Are we that scared that we might have an Adam Goods Gate 2.0? Who wrongly or rightly got booed for skin colour or him being an idiot to a cheer squad, rightly or wrongly, whatever side you're on with that one. Are we scared that we might get another one of those? Could happen to a Bobby Hill. Could happen to a Tyson Stengel. Is that what we're afraid of? That yes, if we acknowledge that day, the Indigenous player said, I'm so mad I want to leave the club and I quit. Which is basically holding the team for ransom. And I thought not one player was bigger than the club. That's what I thought anyway. The badge at the front is more important than the name at the back. Well, that's my belief anyway. But it is what it is. I acknowledged Australia Day in a short yesterday. And I'm responding, or not responding, I'm just going on with what Mar said. This is my show at the end of the day. Now, I know some people that I talk to may not agree with this. They actually might hate this. I know there's certain people of the Hoops Crew community that would not like this, but at the same time, I don't give a damn. I respect that they don't like it, but at the same time, this is my channel. I say what the hell I want on my channel. And I see all these YouTube contenters, all these AFL YouTube channels that more or less have the same agenda, yet they don't call it out. So I appreciate Mars for doing that. Really do. But it is what it is. There's a little rant there, I suppose. So I'm just putting that out there early. So we are 14 minutes in. We are here to talk about our topic. Again, this topic is misleading. It should say Lucas rant at the start, and then Cameron Ling, Kane Corn's comparison, saying that who says no to it. I think that's a bit unfair to both players. So there. But anyway, to our main topic. Kane Corns, Cameron Ling. We've got some notes here. Kane Corn, they actually both started at the same time. I think they're 1 year apart, though Kane Corn's longevity did take into equation. He did go on for longer and played different roles, as long as his career went. Kane Corn started in 2001 to 2015, an impressive 14-year career. He was a heavy tagging midfielder for most part of his career. The other part, he was a winger. Matthew Primus wanted to turn him into a winger. He actually got dropped from that team. He went back to his Sandford club, Glenelg, not Port Adelaide, Glenelg. And he learned to become a winger. It didn't really work out. Matthew Primus wasn't there for long enough. Ken Hinkley brought him back and he managed to play over 300 games. His biggest strength was his fitness, and his two-way running was his biggest asset. His fitness is legendary. Now, I know we can make all the jokes in the world about his firefighting, his radio, how much of a dickhead he is on radio. But let's be fair, he was a very good player in a very good team. This is his accolades: 300 games plus, one-time PP, which is Premiership Player in 2004 against Brisbane Lions, four-time John Cahill medalist, which is their best and fairest, and a very stacked team. So he won one late in his career and a couple early. So he had to go against players like Warren Treadway, Byron Pickett, Sean and Peter Burgoyne, Travis Boak, Robbie Gray, Justin Westhoff, Brendan Lade, a good ruckman in that 2004 era. His brother, Chad Corns. He had to go against all these players and won it 4 times. That's really good. One time Peter Brock VC medal, which is an Anzac Day award medal. So that is really decorative stats. Footy Burnett says their stats are similar. Kane averaged a couple more touches and marks. Glad you brought that up. Is it Jezza? Does it know? Yep. Hello and happy well, my brother. Hello, mate. Hope you are well as well. This is Cameron Ling. They're actually similar players. Cameron Ling and Kane Corns were similar players. They're both taggers. And Jezza is right there. I'm going to bring that up. Cameron Ling, excellent career. Had a better career than Kane Corns because he won 2 extra premierships. 2000, 2011, also heavy tagging midfield. Biggest strength was also contested bully. He was an inside mid and two-way running. Absolutely fantastic. They were probably, along with Josh Carr at that time, probably the best 3 taggers in the game, though Kane Corns and Cameron Ling would hurt you more with the ball than Josh Carr. Cameron Ling played 246 games. He's a 3-time premiership player, 1 as the winning captain, and Joel Selwood took over, 1 Cargie medal, which is the Geelong's best and fairest, and 1-time All-Australian. Excellent career, as I just mentioned. Good afternoon, our SA friend. Wow, Hoops crew have came in. Ignore the first 10 minutes of the show. Don't get angry. Can you give up? But hello. I think it's Ben. Might be Ben. I cannot give you the special efficiency, and that's also a shame. But also, what I wanted to give you was opponent's disposal rating when they played on, because they're both targets. I couldn't get that either, so I do apologise up front. Very similar, but both good targets who could also win their own ball. So let's go back. So very similar stats, very similar. So like the last video where I compared Jimmy Bartell to Nick Riewoldt, I had to cut out Nick Riewoldt's earlier career because Jimmy wasn't around. With here, I don't have to do that because they both played around the same time. Yes, Kane Corns went on much later, but Cameron Ling and Kane Corns, they only played 1 year apart when they first started. So it was easy. This is a little bit easy for me to explain. We have a comment here. It's always Ben. Yeah, so yeah, just like the spaces, Ben. I'm sorry, just like the spaces. Like that me and Mel Katz and you used to do. Good times those were. Good times. What I'd do to bring her back. So what I decided to do is that, these two did play head to head a lot. We know which game was the most memorable game. It was the grand final, the 2007 grand final. Hey, Benny boy, there you go. Jezza is responding to Ben. So this is the 2007 grand final stats. this actually shocked me a little bit here. So on the field, no question, Lee. All right, so these stats actually shocked me. This is the 2007 grand final, so they're probably both tagging each other. Kane Cornes 37 touches and a 100-point loss, 10 marks, 16 kicks, no goals. Cameron Ling 25 touches, 17 handballs. So most of his touches did come from handballs. Now, I see this one of two ways. I see this that Kane Cornes absolutely towed up Cameron Ling that day. Or number two, which is probably more likely, Port Adelaide, the game was done by half-time, 10 minutes into half-time. So Kane Cornes could have had 50 touches. It did not matter. It did not impact the game. And Bomber Thompson probably said, well, who cares? Who cares what Kane Cornes is doing? So that's probably more the latter. But 37 touches, 16 kicks, 10 marks. That was a hell of an effort. If Port Adelaide win that grand final, he probably wins the Norm Smith with those stats. But sorry, mate, you lost by 100. You lost by 100 plus points. Bad luck. But yeah, those stats really did shock me. I think Lingy was the better target, but Kane was the better ball. Yeah, Kane Cornes was the better two-way player. They were both two-way players, good. But I think Kane Cornes, along with Josh Carr as well. You know, Josh Carr was also the top 3 midfielder at that time, or top 3 tagger. Different tagger would be an absolute menace. Than Kane Cornes and Cameron Ling. Cameron Ling and Kane Cornes probably played their tagging more fairly than Josh Carr, and who was the other one at the time? Zach Crawley. Zach Crawley. I'm going Ashes now. Who was the Fremantle player? Crawley, the Fremantle player, not Zach Crawley, the English Ashes player. He couldn't tag. He couldn't tag one shot. Zach Crawley, then alone an AFL game. But anyway. So Ryan Crawley. My apologies. They were two probably played outside the rules, to be honest, and Kane Cornes and Cameron Ling, along with Josh Carr, who played also outside the rules as a tagger. But I thought Kane Cornes would probably hurt you in two ways. He would hurt you with the ball more than the Cameron Ling. Ryan Crowley. There we go. Ryan Crowley. So to Jez's point, I think, yeah, Kane Cornes, I know he says stupid shit in the media, but he was a good player. He was a great player. If you give those stats to any footballer that's coming through the draft, they'll take it. They'll absolutely take it. So he was a better offensive player. Now, he didn't kick many goals, neither did Cameron Ling. They weren't those kind of they're taggers. Jesus, I think Cameron Ling and Kane Cornes would have had a nosebleed. If you put them up 4 forward. They just didn't do that at all. So I'm going to go with I'm also going to do their 2007 averages. So this is what they averaged in 2007. Again, stats that I really wanted was disposal efficiency and opponent disposals. Fortunately, I couldn't get those. So Cameron Ling 2007 average stats. I am counting up to the nearest 10. So he had 20 disposals, but really had 19.8. But I'm just counting up. So 1.2 goals a game, which is not too bad for a tagger. 9 kicks, 4.5 marks per game. Kane Cornes average 2007 stats, 28 disposals. So he was more of a ball winner. He hurt you. Yeah, he was more of an attacking player. 0.4 goals. 7 marks, 4 tackles, 14 kicks. He's probably more of a damaging player than Cameron Ling. But that's the way it is. Yeah, disposal. Yeah, unfortunately, I could not find that. I tried. I really tried. Now, I know Cameron Ling won the disposal efficiency. I know Cameron Ling won the Carnegie Medal in 2004. I don't think that was his best year. I think his best year was 2009, in my opinion. And I've got some stats for that. So this was 2009 stats average. He averaged 23 disposals, 5 tackles, 0.3 goals, 4.5 marks, and 11 kicks. Now, So that's Kane Corns. So from 2007 to 2009, Cameron Ling, he averaged a little bit more. He was added a little bit more offense to his game. He averaged more marks. He averaged slightly more disposals and more kicks, and he averaged more tackles as well. So in 2009, so I think this was his best year per year. But since 2007, he became a little bit more offensive. Now let's compare this to Kane Corns in 2009. Stats are not that dissimilar. Again, he averaged a little bit more in 28 touches, 0.3 goals, which is the same as Cameron Ling. Cameron Ling averaged 11 kicks. Kane Corns averaged 13. That says takes, it's tackles. Cameron Ling averaged more tackles that year. He averaged 5 tackles a game. Kane Corns only 3.5. Marks per year, per average in 2009. Kane Corns 5, Cameron Ling 4.5. So Cameron Ling, in my opinion, his best year was 2009, even though he won the medal in 2004. I don't have the 2004 stats, but the 2009 a little bit more higher. So as his career went on, Cameron Ling did get a little bit better. So who is the better player? I'm not going to say would you do this trade, because that's a bit unfair, and I might actually change that title. Lingy was a hard, yeah. That's also true. You know, Ling, I used to call Ling Rock Ling. Absolute rock Cameron Ling was. The Rock Ling. I think Rex Hunt also used to call him Rock Ling. But that's what he was. Solid as an absolute rock. Cameron Ling. Very tough. Their body shape, yeah, Cameron Ling was a brute, to be honest, compared to Kane Corns. Kane Corns was probably more, had way more endurance. You can prove that in his time trials in pre-season. He was an absolute beast. Kane Corns, to be fair. Very similar, though, almost like splitting hair. It is. What probably sets Kane Corns apart from Cameron Ling, I think Cameron Ling retired a little bit too early in my mind, but he felt like it was the right time to go. Kane Corns did win a best and fairest in the later stage of his career. So he had a little bit more longevity. Now, he did get dropped under Matthew Primus, but Matthew Primus' game style, he didn't believe in taggers. He wanted Kane Corns to play more of a wing type position. Kane Corns flopped at that position. He got dropped to the sandful. And I don't blame him, because taggers are not wingers. But Cameron Ling, you know, he had the body shape. He could have probably went forward a little bit more in his career. But like I said, he was a main tagger. You know, his job was tagging. He did a very good job of that. So did Kane Corns. So longevity, yeah, Kane Corns as well. So that has to come into play. Ken Hinkley, you know, when Kane Corns was playing Sandful for Glenelg, not Port Adelaide, he was actually playing for Glenelg. Port Adelaide, they didn't have a second, they didn't emerge. No, he had to play for his Sandful club, which was Glenelg. In the later stage of his career, he actually did play a couple of Sandful games for Port Adelaide. But before the emerging and all that, it was Glenelg, like with his father, Graham Corns, who played for Glenelg. Same with Chad as well, for the record. Then Ken Hinkley came back. Kane Corns got straight into the midfield as a tagger. Got carried. He did get carried to 300 games. There was a late stage in his career that I think Ken Hinkley was probably a bit loyal, too much for his own good, a bit like Chris Scott. And carried Kane Corns to 300 games. After he played 300 games, Kane Corns never played again. He retired, I think, only 8 or 9 in. Could be wrong, but I think he only played 8 or 9 games that year, whether he retired after round 9 or round 20. He only played a few amount of games in his last year. So he played 300 games. That was the end. So basically, he got carried. I'm not a big fan of that. Not to piss off Collingwood supporters here, but I think that's happening to Scott Pendlebury. I think he's being carried into some all-time game record holder, in my opinion, but here's what it is. So I'm not really a fan of that. But he did win a best and fairest in the later stage of his career against a Robbie Gray, against a Travis Boak. Very good players. So who is the better player? Look, Cameron Ling, he's a favourite son. He was actually born and bred in Geelong. So it would be pretty disrespectful to pick Kane Cornes, but because of longevity, and yeah, Kane Cornes did get more of the ball, more of an attacker, more of a two-way player than Cameron Ling. I'd probably say Kane Cornes, probably. Again, I would love to have disposal efficiency. Flip a coin. Yeah, I would love to have disposal efficiency. I would love to have opponent average disposals. I couldn't get those stats, so I do. So that's probably not a fair comparison. So I will change the title when I've done this video. So that's a little bit harsh, but I think Kane Cornes probably had more weapons than Cameron Ling. I'm not saying Cameron Ling was just a tagger. He wasn't just a tagger. He was a hard inside mid ball as well. But Kane Cornes, going forward was much better and had endurance as well over Cameron Ling. I don't think Cameron Ling's endurance was nowhere near Kane Cornes. And Cameron Ling's endurance was pretty damn good, to be honest. But Kane Cornes still has records at that Port Adelaide club when it comes to time trials, still to this day. And he retired, 10 years ago, which is pretty impressive. Yeah, we can joke about his firefighter stuff, which is pretty amusing. But he still has time trials to this day that's unbeaten. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'd love to see those. Yeah, I know. I really tried to look for them. I know the opponent disposal, that would probably be impossible, but disposal efficiency didn't really show that, unfortunately, which is very sad. I really like the comparisons, mate. Really, really do as well. I actually like making these videos. I will wrap this up, but apologies at the start of this video. Just skip just ignore the first 10 minutes. Bit of a rant there about Australia Day, but no disrespect, no disrespect to left-wing people or Aboriginal culture, but that's just how I feel. Just like how Mars felt about his video, and I applaud Mars for doing what he did. Yeah, I tried looking too, couldn't find them anywhere. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. I really wanted to know that. I missed the first 10 minutes. Probably good that you did. But anyway, no, thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to the Hoops. Shout out to I'm so glad I can actually, the banner is now below. I finally fixed that. Shout out to the Hoops crew. Shout out to the Jumper Punch and to all those boys, Bocek, Scotty, Rocco, and Mars. If Mars is watching, I hope I can have a conversation, about anything with you. Come along as a nice guy. So you come along as a nice guy. So I hope I can have a chat with you. I talked to Rocco. He does things on here. Rocco's been doing amazing videos with his history channel. So shout out to Rocco with that one as well. Kiri on the Red Dawn TV hasn't received the best news today. He was hoping to see one thing from Liverpool. That hasn't came. I'm sorry to hear that, Kiri, but it looks like they're going to give Arne Slot one more game against, I'm just checking my notes here, some Norway team that you probably beat 8-0 with your reserve team. But anyway, sorry about that. But maybe next league, the next league game, you might get your wish. But shout out to all those guys. But anyway, yep, Jezza says, see you on the next one, mate. No, thank you so much for watching. Happy Australia Day from yesterday. And we will see you next time, hopefully for another review. Hopefully I haven't got cancelled after this. Who knows?